Want to hear something crazy? There's a story circulating online that's so far from reality, it's hard to believe. Some people are claiming that Drake completely outperformed Kendrick Lamar in their rivalry, forcing Kendrick to concede defeat. But wait, let me clarify what really happened after those diss tracks were released, because the truth is quite different, so unbelievable that you might struggle to accept it at first. While Drake was likely lounging in his mansion, counting his streaming numbers and convincing himself he had come out on top, Kendrick Lamar did something unexpected. He didn't just withstand the conflict, he made a comeback that shocked everyone and left them in awe. We're talking about a comeback so impressive and undeniable that it put all debates about who truly won to rest. And the most surprising part? Drake's fans continue to insist he won, even as they watch Kendrick achieve remarkable feats right before their eyes. Welcome to Celebrity Rap Life, where the red carpets never roll up and the spotlight never fades. The rewards are legendary, because in Celebrity Rap Life, every downfall can become a comeback, and every headline tells a deeper story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next. Let me break down what actually went down after the dust settled from one of hip-hop's biggest battles in recent memory. While people were still arguing in comment sections about who had the better bars, who went harder, who exposed who, Kendrick Lamar quietly started putting together something that would shut down all the debates without him having to say another word. This wasn't some small club tour or a few festival appearances to keep his name buzzing. No, sir. What Kendrick pulled off was the kind of move that separates the legends from everybody else trying to claim they're in the same league. The man went ahead and launched a full-scale, worldwide stadium tour. And when I say stadium, I'm not talking about those venues that call themselves stadiums but are really just big arenas. I'm talking about actual football stadiums, the kind of places where tens of thousands of people pack in to watch their favorite teams, the kind of venues that most rappers only dream about selling out even once in their entire career. And Kendrick didn't just book a couple of these massive spots to make it look good for the cameras. He filled up stadium after stadium after stadium in city after city, country after country, continent after continent. Think about that for a second, because it's actually insane when you really consider what it means. Here's a man who supposedly got destroyed so badly in a beef that he should have been hiding somewhere licking his wounds, maybe taking a break from the spotlight to figure out his next move, possibly even questioning whether he still had what it takes to compete at the highest level. That's what should have happened if Drake really washed him the way some people claim. But instead, what does Kendrick do? He goes out and proves that millions of people around this entire planet wanted to see him perform live so badly that they were willing to pay serious money, stand in lines, travel across cities, and pack into these enormous venues just to be in his presence for a couple hours. The energy at these shows wasn't sympathy energy either, like people showing up to support someone who's down. No, this was celebration energy, victory lap energy, the kind of atmosphere that only happens when an artist is at the absolute peak of their powers, and everyone knows it. Every single night, thousands upon thousands of voices screaming his lyrics back at him, hands in the air, the whole stadium shaking with the kind of love and respect that you simply cannot fake or buy no matter how much money you got. But it gets even crazier than that, because the stadium tour was just one piece of this puzzle that proved exactly who walked away from that beef still standing tall. See, anyone can have a moment, anyone can catch lightning in a bottle one time, but sustained success, consistent wins, that's what separates the real ones from the pretenders every single time. While Kendrick was circling the globe doing these stadium shows, he was also dropping music that was connecting with people on a level that had the industry shook. We're not talking about songs that got a little buzz for a week and then disappeared into the algorithm graveyard never to be heard from again. We're talking about legitimate, certified, undeniable hit records that dominated radio stations, streaming platforms, playlists, clubs, everywhere you could possibly hear music. These songs weren't just doing numbers, they were becoming part of the culture, the kind of tracks that people actually wanted to listen to over and over again, not just stream once out of curiosity because of some drama. And that's a key difference that a lot of people seem to miss when they're keeping score in these rap battles. The thing about hits is they tell you everything you need to know about where an artist really stands with the actual audience, not just the loud voices on social media who might be biased one way or another. When you deliver multiple hit records after supposedly getting demolished in a beef, that's the universe's way of showing you that the people have spoken, and they definitely didn't agree with whoever claimed you lost. Radio programmers don't care about your feelings or your favorite rapper. They care about what's moving the needle and getting listeners to tune in. Playlist curators at these streaming services aren't making decisions based on who they think won a rap battle. They're looking at data, engagement, saves, replays, all the metrics that show what people genuinely want to hear. And across all these platforms, in all these different spaces, Kendrick's music kept rising to the top like cream, kept getting the plays, kept getting the attention, kept proving that his artistry was still connecting at the highest possible level. That's not what happens to someone who got washed. That's what happens to someone who reminded everybody exactly why they're considered one of the greatest to ever do it. Now, let's be real about what getting washed actually means in hip-hop, because apparently some people got confused about the definitions somewhere along the way. When you truly wash someone in a beef, when you really destroy them so badly that they can't recover, there's usually a pattern that follows. The person who lost tends to go quiet for a while, their music stops hitting the same way, the public turns on them, opportunities dry up, and their career takes a visible hit that everyone can see and measure. We've seen this happen before in hip-hop history. We know what it looks like when someone actually gets bodied so hard they can't come back from it. Their next project flops, their tour dates get canceled or downgraded to smaller venues. The respect from peers, legends, and the next generation all still firmly in place. So with all that in mind, let's check the scoreboard on Kendrick after this beef that he supposedly lost so badly. Stadium tours selling out across the world? Check. Multiple hit records dominating the airwaves and streaming platforms? Check. Critical acclaim still intact and possibly even stronger? Check. Respect from peers, legends, and the next generation all still firmly in place? Check, check, and again, check. Every single measure you could possibly use to determine who came out on top tells the exact same story, but somehow there's still people out here trying to push a different narrative like we can't see what's right in front of our eyes. It's honestly kind of fascinating in a weird way, like watching someone try to convince you it's nighttime when the sun is blazing directly overhead and you can feel the heat on your skin. The cognitive dissonance required to look at a man selling out stadiums worldwide and dropping hits left and right, then turn around and say he got washed, is truly Olympic-level mental gymnastics that deserves some kind of award for creativity, if nothing else. But here's the thing that makes this whole situation even more interesting when you dig into it a little deeper. The fact that Kendrick could go out and achieve all of this without really addressing the beef much afterwards, without having to do a bunch of interviews explaining his side or defending himself, without needing to create some big comeback narrative or redemption arc, that actually speaks louder than any diss track ever could. He let his work do the talking in the most powerful way possible, by showing everyone that his connection with his audience was stronger than any beef could damage, that his artistry was on a level where one battle wasn't going to define or diminish his legacy, that he had the kind of staying power and cultural impact that transcends whatever temporary drama might pop up on any given Tuesday. That's boss energy right there. That's the move of someone who knows exactly who they are and doesn't need to prove anything to anyone, because the results speak for themselves in a language everybody understands. Money talks and everything else walks, and those stadium receipts, those streaming numbers, those chart positions, they're all talking real loud for anyone willing to listen with both ears instead of just hearing what they want to hear. The music industry is brutal and unforgiving. It'll chew you up and spit you out the second you show any weakness, the second the audience moves on to the next thing, the second your moment passes and you become yesterday's news. Artists who truly get washed in beefs usually find that out the hard way when they try to move forward and discover that nobody's really checking for them anymore like they used to be. But Kendrick Lamar stepped into the aftermath of this whole situation and found more love waiting for him than ever before, found more people wanting to hear what he had to say, found more opportunities, more success, more validation of everything he'd been building throughout his entire career. That's not the story of someone who lost. That's the story of someone who won so decisively that even trying to argue against it starts to make you look foolish. And maybe that's the real lesson here, that in hip-hop, like in life, the ultimate scoreboard isn't who said the best lines or who got the most reaction videos or who trended harder on social media for a few days. The ultimate scoreboard is who's still standing when the smoke clears, who's still moving forward when everyone else has moved on to the next controversy, who's still got the people rocking with them when it would be so easy for those same people to switch up and go elsewhere if they really felt like you took an L. Kendrick Lamar took whatever shots came his way and turned right around to show the entire world that he's operating on a different level, a level where beefs are just small moments in a much bigger picture, a level where your body of work and your impact matter more than winning or losing any single battle. So the next time someone tries to tell you that Drake washed Kendrick so bad, just point them to the stadiums that were packed night after night with people celebrating everything this man represents to hip-hop culture. Point them to the hits that kept coming and kept connecting with millions of listeners who clearly didn't get the memo that they were supposed to stop supporting him. Point them to the fact that Kendrick's artistic credibility somehow came out of this whole thing even stronger than it went in, that he's still the guy other rappers look up to and aspire to be like, that he's still setting the bar for what it means to be truly great at this rap thing we all love so much. Because at the end of the day, you can spin the narrative however you want, you can make whatever arguments sound good in your head, but you can't argue with results this concrete and this undeniable. A worldwide stadium tour isn't something you stumble into. Multiple hits aren't accidents that just happen to someone who's supposedly down and out. And maintaining legendary status after a high-profile beef requires the kind of talent and connection with your audience that only the very best possess. Kendrick Lamar proved he's one of those very best, proved it in the most public and measurable way possible, and left absolutely no doubt about where he stands in this game we call hip-hop. This story is far from over, and the truth is still unfolding. I want to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments. And if you don't want to miss the next twist, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of what's coming next.